I'm excited for today. What's up, FT fam? Braun, Kratz, Pierzynski. Also, are you guys excited for All-Star? I feel like it snuck up on us because we're also going to be there for a while. Like you and me are leaving tomorrow.
We're in the trenches.
Yeah.
We're going to be there like AJ's on the road.
We get to
all the time.
Live AJ's life.
Why are you going so early?
Why are we going early?
Oh,
Yeah.
There's some.
We want to scout the scene. We want to make sure that everything's set up correctly for when you arrive.
Fluff your pillow. We're going to fluff your pillow. Put a mint on there.
Yes, that everything's set. The food, the drinks, the set. No, seriously. So after the show tomorrow, we fly out because our first show is Friday. We're doing the Prospect Pad Hot Sheet show with some of the Futures Game players on Friday afternoon. After FT from Texas. But I'm saying we could do FT anywhere.
Which is going to be awesome.
Yes, we are specifically there starting on Friday to chat with Futures Game players. So that's why we're going early.
Got it. Okay.
When do you go?
I'll be in San Diego.
Yeah, you have what? Padres who on Saturday?
Braves.
Nice.
Oh, that's going to be a good series. Good for you.
Yeah.
I feel like you're getting all the A games right now. I mean, Yankees, Red Sox, Braves, Padres.
Yankees, Red Sox on FS1. By the way, when did you ever think this? When did you think the Brewers, Padres would be on Big Fox, or Brewers, Dodgers would be on Big Fox, and Yankees, Red Sox would be on FS1?
I think it's November or December. When did Shohei sign? $700 million.
December,
got all eyes on the Dodgers. So
that's why. And the Red Sox were supposed to suck, and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees are supposed to be good, not amazing, and they're kind of coming back down.
Were both.
They were amazing and then good. So anyway, we'll cover a little Yanks and a little Rays right now. Let's get to the AL East first and some crappy news. Here we go. Charge the mound. I mean, frankly, it's terrible. So Wander Franco has been formally charged with sexual abuse and sexual exploitation against a minor. Credit to Juan Recchio, or Riccio, I might be messing up the name, but he's done a lot of reporting on this story. He also posted an update this morning saying through a press release, Dominican authorities indicate that in addition to the crimes of sexual abuse and sexual exploitation against a minor, Wander is also being accused of human trafficking. This crime has penalties up to 20 years in prison. This is a baseball show. We're not getting into legal cases. We can all agree the charges are awful. Awful if any of that is true. And of course, I can tell you from a baseball standpoint, on a prediction level, reading a lot about how everything works with a player being charged with something like this in another country, this is very secondary, but I don't think we're seeing this player in our sport ever again.
Based on what I'm reading.
No.
And I've had teammates who have had legal issues in Venezuela and Dominican, and sometimes they're swept under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, they're swept under the rug with money. And I give credit to the prosecutors, the people who are pushing this through, that if these are, because you're not guilty until proven,
mm-hmm.
It's you're innocent until proven guilty. If these are true and they are pushing these, I'm glad that it is not a status thing. It is because the people that are affected by these potential crimes, it's awful if this is truthful. And obviously we don't know, and it will come out in court, but good for them for continually pursuing this.
Yeah, and this has been going on for a while, AJ, and I will also give credit to the league on this front. This stuff gets very tricky, and the league has, been in situations like this in the past where you can't have a player like this on the field. Even months back where we had less evidence, you just can't have a player like this on the field when the charges are this insane. And when I insane, I mean terrible.
No, I agree. Listen, I hope these aren't true, but for them to push this through and make it a case, there's got to, there's smoke there, obviously, and it's just bad for baseball. It's bad for Wander. It's bad for the people that he's being accused of doing these things to. I hope it all gets worked out. I hope, these come back not true, but you just never know. And you hate to even read about this, see this, and it's just an awful situation. I mean, not even talking about the baseball side for the Rays. They finally go out and give a guy a huge contract, and then this pops up. I mean, it's just awful. Now, there have been stories about, him doing things with teammates and meaning like getting in altercations and stuff. But this is a completely different animal. This is one of those things that just you don't wish upon anybody. And I feel so bad for everybody involved in this. And if Wander Franco did this, then I mean he deserves to go to jail for a long time.
Yep. So likely won't see him. I mean, he was on a 11-year, $182-ish million contract, incentives and all kinds of stuff that could have maxed out at 12 years, $223 million if the 12th year was picked up and, he hit the escalators. This would have taken him into his mid-30s. This was the player that the Rays circled more than anyone in their franchise history. And I know it's not the oldest franchise out there. What did they start?
97.
98 was their first year.
98 was their first year. 97 was the expansion draft or something, whatever. Now they have to rethink what they're going to do going forward. They're always churning through players, but this was the one guy where they're like, we found someone who we think we want to build around for the next 10, 12, 15 years or so. So when it comes to the Rays, let's get back to the baseball side of things. This past weekend, they were swept up by Texas. They enter a series against a Yankees team that's been struggling, and they took them down yesterday. Carlos Rodon even admitted himself he's been kind of predictable with the heater. They got to him a little bit early on. They got some insurance later in this game. Ben Rice, our boy on the show from a couple days ago, hit another dinger, lefty on lefty crime, but the Rays pulled off a victory here, so go wherever you want to go. Let's go Rays just for a moment, because I still think they're going to make trades regardless of where they're at, just because this is what they do. And there's too many players that are kind of close to free agency at this point for them to just kind of let them linger. Even if they're like, we're not completely taking a step back, they are the kind of team where I could see them going, hey, let's trade a guy or two, but we also are still going to compete. I don't think they're going to clear house. Does this make sense? Sometimes, the Red Sox have done this in the past where it hasn't felt right. I feel like the Rays are the kind of team, just like the Brewers, where they kind of subtract, add, do a little bit of both, and it still helps them.
Advantageous trades.
Yeah.
Advantageous for the situation they're in. Rarely do they make that like blockbuster trade at the trade deadline, and rarely do they just break it down. They just keep selling each year. It's like, oh, well, we're going to get rid of this guy, and we're going to get rid of this guy. Well, why wouldn't the Rays? And we kind of asked Ken about it before. Why wouldn't the Rays get rid of Randy Arozarena? It's kind of like that Rays MO. I don't think other teams would do it. I don't think they would do it in this time period and this where they're at. And I think it's something that they have all the chips in the sense that I think they're just playing with house money. They don't necessarily care if they keep guys. And so they're like, hey, we'll get rid of this. You already saw it with Aaron Savali. Shipped him out. He wasn't having the best year, but he wasn't coming back next year either.
Right. And they had other people filling in his spot. So they were like, boom, we're moving on. We have other rotation depth. So anyway, we have Max Scherzer waiting on line one. So we're going to step aside. I'll lastly say this. Yankees are still kind of spiraling right now. So tough times for them. They're relying on a few bats. But anyway, we'll be right back on Valley Sports and on FT YouTube with Mr. Max Scherzer.
When you look at the top teams in baseball, what they do really well is capitalize on situations. Leading off the inning with a double and being able to get them over and get them in, or things like that with the bat, making sure that every out is productive, or making the most of your outs productive. But I think we do a good job with trying to do that the best we can. But when you have a pitching staff on the mound that consistently holds everybody to 3 runs. That's then the rest is on us. So we got to show up and produce. But we have a good group of guys. We have professional young players here. We have guys that understand their roles. So I think it's starting to come to here, which is really nice. It's special, especially when some guys here played on World Series teams and played on winning teams, and they're starting to see the same thing. That's always what you want to have.
I know, Reynolds is there. I know you're there. I know you take a lot of pride in being a teammate. But who is that guy? Who's been that guy to get those young guys to say, let's have team at bats? Let's find a way to win and eliminate the selfish mindset. Like, who has been that veteran guy? I'm curious.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think out of a lot of these guys here I probably would say I've had the most up and down career with success and failure. So I think I can speak a lot on when these young players go through things. And I think, it's always one of those where it's just like, hey, tomorrow's a new day. Let's flush today, especially when guys are struggling too. And a lot of young players in here that have played together for a long time. So I think for me, it's just trying to show them, like, hey, it's okay to fail, but on the flip side of that, you still got to be the same guy day in and day out, still be the same teammate, whether we win 18-0 and, there's always somebody in one of those games that's the 0 for 6. There's always somebody like that out there. And, that's the worst feeling when your team's banging and you're struggling or you're struggling in general for a whole series and can't really do much, but your team's got your back. It's hard to be the same guy. So I think just looking at guys and making sure you keep a smile on their face and keep them light. I mean, that's what they did for me when I was struggling. They made sure I was smiling, kept me happy, made sure I was okay. I think teammates don't, or the fans don't really understand how much teammates are meaningful, especially when you have a good group of guys that can communicate with one another and, honestly just hang out. You guys know how it is. It's just, that's how the winning teams are. Nobody, the clubhouse is pretty tight. Nobody comes in and really breaks anything up.
What's up? We're back talking to Max Scherzer soon. It's Braun, Kratz, and Pierzynski. Let's just continue that Rays-Yankees conversation for a moment. AJ, your thoughts on the Rays, and also the 2022 Yankees are starting to come to mind for people, where they had the really blazing start and then were basically exactly 500 in the second half, and then they got bounced in the ALCS by the Astros.
No, it's too early for that. I mean, they're just having a bad stretch. I mean, I did their game Saturday. Aaron Boone talked about it. You go like this, right? There's ups and downs. But when they got up to such a rocket start, everyone's like, oh, man, this is one of the best teams of all time. And he's like, let's everyone settle down here. We're going to have a lull. And they're just going through a little bit of a lull right now. And it's from the bullpen to the starting pitchers to some of the hitters other than Aaron Judge are in a little bit of a lull. Now they're beat up. They're banged up. No Rizzo, no Stanton. Obviously, some other guys haven't done. Volpe's in a down swing right now. So I think it's too early to say that. There's a lot of games to go. We're not even at the All-Star break yet. And they're still right there for the division. I think they're going to be fine. They're going to get into the playoffs, and they can do damage in the playoffs because if you have Cole, Rodon, Stroman, Nestor, those guys lined up, you're going to be able to do damage with their bullpen.
Okay, let's see if they're going to run into a team like the Texas Rangers as Max Scherzer joins us right now on FT. Max, great to have you back on, man. Good to see you. And I wanted to jump right into how last night went, and also – this team's on a season-high 5-game winning streak, so times are good right now, right?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah, got another win, keep the winning streak going. We're starting to play some baseball, some good baseball here. We're some winning baseball, and it's exciting because we've been in this kind of lull for a while, and now we're starting to come out of it, and we're just playing as a team. When the pitchers pitch, the hitters hit, bullpen does their job, and we're winning ball games. So just gotta ride this wave and just keep it going.
Max, is there any coincidence that you got hot right when you came back? I mean, do you go in every day to poach and say, look, guys, it's me. All you needed was
I wish it was just that simple, but, I don't hit anymore, and you don't want me to hit at all. So, no, we're just playing better as a team. Up and down the lineup, everybody's contributing, and we're just getting the timely hits when we need to get the timely hits.
I didn't hit either, but people liked it when I was on the team. So what's the big deal, Max? But could you be a cancer? Could you cause, you coming back, could you cause a team to lose? Not you personally, but can a pitcher that's out cause a team to lose, or is that totally looking into 26-man rosters? It's too small.
I don't know. Baseball's a funny sport. Sometimes how it ebbs and flows and the way it goes. That's why I think everybody's so superstitious, within this game. You look for anything to keep this routine going the exact same, and you're always trying to make sure you do the exact same thing every single day. So, right now we're playing good baseball, and we just got to keep it going.
How'd you feel last night, Max? I mean, 6 innings, or actually a lot more than that. Geez, 6 innings. That's like beneath you nowadays. 6 2/3 innings. Sorry. 8 hits, 3 earnings, 6 punch outs. You gave up a couple home runs. how'd you feel though? And more importantly, how is your thumb nerve kind of thing from like you said, gripping the ball a little bit too hard because no stuff.
Yeah, so physically, I'm actually in a much better spot. I'm ramping up. I'm kind of gaining strength every single time out. The start against the Padres, in the seventh inning, I was fatigued, but I could still pitch. Whereas last night against the Angels, I felt better in the seventh inning. Still felt strong. Still felt like I had my best fastball there in the seventh. So to me, that's a sign of I'm building up. That was my sixth start on the season. Counting 2 rehab starts. So, that's kind of anticipated. Nothing that there's anything to pause for concern over. And as I keep going, hopefully I just continue to get better, and as I get more into midseason form.
All right. Do you think you and I talked about this a little bit? You kind of had the nerve thing, the thumb thing, and we talked about it a little bit. And you've talked about this too. Do you think it's because the baseball is different? Because we've had guys come on here and say the baseball is 100% different than it was in past years. And do you think it's because like you have to squeeze it just a little bit harder, and that's a reason why more guys are maybe getting injured?
Well, there's a lot of moving parts to what we're going to talk about on that. My radial nerve, that's doing a lot better. Finally kind of got some information out of that. Got the nerve under control, and really how that moves up my arm too. The radial nerve is actually in the back of my tricep, and so I've kind of gotten that freed up as well. So that whole radial nerve, man, that's been a really tough thing to try to navigate through. Because it affects not only from my thumb, but all the way up into my shoulder. So given that we've gotten that under control, I feel like that's why I've been able to get back out on the mound sooner. It's just frustrating because if I didn't have that, I got out of back surgery. I would have been pitching back, on May 10th. So it's a pretty substantial injury, but I finally got that under control.
Do you think Major League Baseball cares about the health of pitchers? I'm just being frankly honest. A guy that
right.
Should know because you've seen the era that you've thrown in and where we're going to now. Do you think they care, or do they just see pitchers as assets?
Well, I think they care. Obviously, they would like to make, I like to hope and think they do. And I've had conversations where I think they do. And where, what are we going to do about this? I mean, the pitching injuries are at an all-time high. We know that, that we got to do something to help that out. And what are the doctors saying? What can the doctors say? What can we do immediately? And both Neil Elitrosh and Keith Meister, the guys who are performing all these surgeries, on all these, elbow reconstructions, and what they've said is, hey, pitchers need a little bit more grip. I get, where we were at with the whole grip situation, got out of control with the spider tack, and we had to crack down on it. I get that. But where we're at now, now we're, from their perspective, from the doctor's perspective, they're saying, hey, guys are over squeezing the ball, and that's, blowing out forearms, blowing out the elbows, blowing out the shoulders, we've seen more lat and teres strains. So it's kind of the whole arm injury. They're seeing more of it, more substantial injuries. The severity of the injuries is much higher. And their formal recommendation to MLB is to have the pitchers have more grip.
And do you think Major League Baseball is going to listen? Do you feel like you see anything, or is it just too slow and we just need to be patient and let all these pitchers continue to get hurt?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk to MLB, their solution to this is they try to come up with a sticky ball, because and the point of that would be to level the playing field so that every pitcher would have the same amount of grip, that no one would gain an advantage over each other. But there's two main problems with that approach. One, however they're going to devise a sticky ball, there's no way it's going to perform the same in hot weather as it is in cold weather. And all the different environments that we have to pitch in, I still think you're going to have a huge range on how that ball actually performs in terms of grip, in terms of spin rate. And so that's one issue that I see a problem with it. And two, you still have an enforcement problem. What happens when somebody grabs sunscreen and then goes and touches a sticky ball? Are we still going to have checks? Are we still going to have umpires checking hands? And then they're going to be able to differentiate that sunscreen, that's a sticky ball. So you still have an enforcement problem, even in a sticky ball world when you're trying to level the playing field. So, I get where MLB wants to come from. If we're actually trying to say, hey, what's the sticky ball actually trying to do? It's trying to say, hey, let's level the playing field and let's just add a little bit of spin to the baseball. Okay, well, if you say that, pitchers can do that. We can do that already and we can do this for free. And we have all the spin rate technology that can measure everything down to the absolute minute spin of the ball. And so when I've talked to MLB about this, I've said, hey, how much added spin would you be willing to give pitchers? That wouldn't affect the ball flight, but would give us, a little bit more grip. And it's actually really small. Just if you could, a quarter to half turn of the ball more, where you're not increasing the vertical break, you're not increasing, the spin rate per se. That 1/2 turn of the ball is actually 75 RPMs. I mean, so it kind of gets convoluted how much when we talk spin rates and big jumps. We're talking multiple hundreds additive spin before you actually see true performance. But when you're talking about something under 100, it's negligible, and the hitters can't even tell when that's going on. And so I've said, hey, why don't we try to navigate this issue together? Let the pitchers figure this out. What it could be that gives that spin, that added 75 RPM spin, half a turn of a baseball, and at the same time that would help out the pitchers because you wouldn't have to overgrip the baseball. So I think there's a little safety element here where giving pitchers a little bit extra grip would actually be beneficial to us without being detrimental to the game or giving the pitchers advantage over the hitter, I should say.
Max, when these conversations are going down, is this just you with, say, one person with the league? Are there other veteran pitchers or just pitchers in general involved? Because there's not a committee for this on the players' side, is there?
I've had enough talks to. This is like I said, this has been going on for years. When I was actually on the boards with the with the union and dealing with this and the competition committees and looking through this issue, I'd say I've been speaking on this issue for about 5 years behind the scenes. So I get it. It's been an ongoing issue. When I first thought the crackdown would happen, we would see more hit by pitches in the head, and the ball would be slipping out of pitchers' hands and drilling people in the head. Has happened, maybe not to the degree of maybe I thought, but the injury impact that has happened, I think, is on the pitching side. That the elbows have, the arms have been getting impacted by this, and so I also believe this is also part why starting pitchers are throwing fewer pitches in the game. That when you're overgripping the ball, you're cashing out the forearm, and you can't make it 105 pitches anymore. And that's what's showing up in the data. The data is telling us that, like, hey, once you get past pitch 90, like, these are now high risk pitches. So actually, this is where it gets a little counterintuitive, I would say, is that if you actually allow the pitcher to have a little bit more grip, you're actually going to get more offense because the starter can stay in the game longer. And when the starter can stay in the game longer, third time through, that's where the offense is at. So I think everybody would win by having the pitcher have a little bit more grip. You get more offense. Pitchers are healthier, and the starters are out there longer. It's not just a bullpen matchup game where you're just bringing in guys that can just blow cheese with. Everybody wins.
All right, man. You pitchers, you guys are always looking for an advantage. Let me just say that you guys.
No.
I freeze.
Oh no.
I think we hear you, Max, but it'll come right back.
Those pitchers are always looking for an advantage, right? Stickier balls, this and that. It's amazing how pitchers always complain about, there's too much offense in the game. We need to raise the mound, and we need to move the mound closer, and we need to take away pine tar from hitters. It makes me laugh every time.
Offense is down this year.
Big time.
Offense is
big time. Offense is offensive right now.
It is definitely offensive.
All right,
he's back. There we go.
Right. Where did I get cut off at?
No, you were just saying. I was just saying how you pitchers are always looking for an edge, and you guys always complain when the hitters get hits. So it's like, just typical pitcher stuff that you were running through about. We get a stickier ball. We can we can control it better. We can pitch longer. You know, it's fine. We us hitters, we understand, Max.
Yeah, but you actually would get more offense in that scenario.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
I'm saying this as a macro side of the game, something that would be beneficial to the game. Not just for any one player that, hey, we've changed the bases and said that's health and safety for the hitters. You know, the hitters get every elbow guard, every shield that they want, all out of health and safety. And I'm not here to take those away or even say that those are a problem, but can we please just say, a pitcher's elbow, what do we need to do to protect the pitcher's elbow? And that's not that's actually a productive thing for the game.
Okay, yeah, we know you have problems with elbow guards. It cost you something once back in the day. So we also understand, as someone that wore an elbow guard, pitchers hate elbow guards. Jose Tabata, I think, comes to mind. I think that was his name.
Yeah, I don't hate the guard. It's just I get it from a health and safety point. You guys need it. Like, we're throwing 95 miles an hour. You get on the elbow like that. I mean, you're out for, you break elbows. Like, you're out for a couple months there. So, like, I get it. It's better for the hitter to have an elbow guard. But if we're going to protect your elbow, you got to protect my elbow.
Agreed. Listen, I want the best pitchers out there. Okay, so let's speak on something a little bit different. First of all, your shirt is, it's like making me kind of dizzy, so I love it.
I like it.
Yeah, I love it. It's awesome. But no, seriously, there's been a lot of stuff. You guys are playing better as the Rangers now. But, trades. Your name has come up as trade bait again. You wouldn't waive your no trade again, would you? I know you guys are playing better, but let's say things don't continue to go up. Would you waive your no trade again? Would it be 3 times in 4 years?
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, but I just don't think I even have to think about that. I think we're going to play better baseball, and it's going to be even a moot point to even talk about. So I think we're going to win here.
I like that. Do you have an update, Max, on any of your friends that are coming back soon? I feel like that's been one of the storylines. You mentioned the offense picking up the pace, which was surprising at the beginning of the season, right, for the Rangers. But, this month's been better for them. And what about like DeGrom, for example? Do you see him coming back to join you sometime, early on in the second half?
I sure hope so. I would love for him to join. Obviously, he's a difference maker. But I just don't know how the Tommy John rehab. I've never experienced that, and this is his second. So I don't know how you feel in those situations when you're coming back. But he's throwing the ball great. He's looking great in his bullpens. So he's definitely on the path to get back. It's complete speculation where he'll actually be back. But we're all excited if he can complete the rehab and get back this year.
So you won a World Series last year with the Rangers. Obviously, you won one with the Nationals as well. You've experienced this and what the next season is like. Not many people can do this. Can you put into words what it is like, and not just for you, I'm saying for a team to follow up a World Series after they go through what they go through in October? It's kind of leading me to the question of how come we can't find back-to-back champs in baseball? Of course, it could happen this year for the Rangers, but why haven't we seen it since the Yankees, a quarter of a century ago at this point?
Winning's hard. This is hard. This is Major League Baseball. This is the best in the world. You got teams lining up constantly, making offseason, deals and everything to chase you down. So, especially in the format, you play 162 games and you condense everything in the 5-game series, 7-game series. I mean, anything can happen. And so, going through October is a really difficult process, and anything can happen. So, that's why it's really hard to get a repeat winner.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Hey, Max, how much do you put into your All-Star game voting? The All-Star game is in Texas this year. Are you a guy? Because listen, I play with guys that really cared. I play with guys that handed it to the PR guy, and I play with guys that said, "Hey, Max, who'd you vote for? I'll just copy yours and go on." So, how much do you think it matters? And the other thing about the All-Star game is now there's 85 All-Stars. We've already seen Sale move his day, so he doesn't pitch. Right? We see Rafael Devers, who gets 4 hits a game, say that his shoulder hurts, he can't go to the game. So how much do you actually put into what the All-Star game means now?
I know. I think it means a lot. I definitely look at that ballot and I fill it out and I try to. I'm not just being a homer and going to vote for my own guys. I vote for who I think are the best and the most deserving to be there, because I know it's how big of a moment it is, how special it is, and if you feel like you've earned it. Like you definitely feel like you belong there. And so I've been fortunate enough to be able to go a handful of times. So I know how much that means. In terms of like the importance of actually playing a game, I mean, first off, I actually do think it's the best all-star game of any major sport. I mean, it's better watched than the Pro Bowl or NBA or NHL, where there's like no defense whatsoever. Actually, it's almost the opposite in baseball. You get all the pitchers coming in just blowing cheese as much as they can, so that you're getting actual real matchups in those situations. And so I think from a fan's perspective, the All-Star game is actually probably the best one to watch of all the All-Star games. And for guys that that need a blow, they need, I get it. The season's hard enough. If your body's not really ready to step into that arena, yeah, I get it. You need something. But for me, I always enjoyed pitching in All-Star games. For me, I saw it as kind of like a tune-up for the for postseason baseball, playoff baseball, because there's times where, hey, I might come in relief and I gotta go through and like one inning and let's see what we got. And the All-Star game is like you're facing the best hitters in the game at this point in time. So you gotta go out to get those guys out. So it kind of gives you a warm up of what could happen in October. So I always enjoyed pitching in it.
Could you enjoy it more next year when you're an all-star? Could you enjoy it more? Because we talked to Ross Stripling about the fact that you didn't give my guy Ross Stripling a high five when you were going in to start. Or do you have no other gear when you're going in to pitch a game, whether it's the all-star game or Game 7 of the World Series?
Yeah, I only got one speed. When the light switch goes on, that's it. Like I got to be in my zone, otherwise. And the reason I say that is, and I learned about this in 2021, these guys can hit the ball extremely hard, and it can come right back at you. And if you're not absolutely 100% on and not ready to duck, that a ball screaming back at you at 110 can really do some really bad things to you if you get hit by that. And sure enough, Vladdy Jr. Smoked the ball. I mean, this is inches away from my face, and I ducked out just in the nick of time. I think there's like a photo of like where the ball is just like barely above my ear. And so, yeah, that's really scary. So when you step on the mound, you're facing these type of hitters. You got to be 100% on, ready to go at them. Otherwise, if you're kind of halfing around, joking around out there, something really bad could happen.
Okay, Max. Little interesting question for you because you always have thoughts on this, and I think you're also a Boris guy. So, what are your thoughts on Snell and Monty and what they went through, missing spring training? They've come back and they've struggled. Obviously, Snell and Monty have gone on the IL. Snell's came back now, but what are your thoughts on spring training? Because I always thought I'm a position player. Give me 2 weeks, I can be ready. But as a pitcher, you need that ramp up. You need those big league innings, right?
It's like a yes and no because I'm kind of going through it myself where, I kind of miss spring training and doing it. I think every pitcher is different. Every scenario is different. It's hard to say and look at somebody else's situation and know exactly what they're going through. But you do need a ramp up and you got to be able to simulate those innings. And for me, I feel like later in my career here, I'm better at that I can kind of show up anywhere and I can get my work in. I really know what that is. Younger in my career, spring training is a little bit more important. So it's really kind of where everybody is at in their situation and the facilities they're able to get to, the bats they're able to get, matched up against. So it's really an individual case-by-case basis and really for them to speak on.
Quick follow, last one for you, Max. Is there any way to fix getting signings done earlier? Those guys were vocal about it being annoying. I know the families hate it. I'm going to chime in because I'm the non-player on this show. Fans hate it because I don't know who my team is going to sign. I can't buy season tickets with confidence. Like, it hurts marketing, putting guys up on posters. Like, it's just not cool. I know there's no deadline that can necessarily be created, but how do we get activity sooner? Because it's affecting the sport when we actually play.
Yeah, like you said, I get it. How would you actually navigate this? This is CBA talk. How would you do this? You can't have a deadline. That's just not going to happen. The only thing that, when I hear that, the only way to make teams actually sign players is to have the league be more competitive. That if when you have this marketplace, the owners are trying to weigh out the market and see how the chips fall and see if they can get, they go through the trade market first. They're always looking to see if they can, trade, use their prospects and trade instead of having to make the free agent sign. So you kind of look at that, the trade market first, and then once they realize they don't want to pay the prospect price, that's when they'll actually pay with dollars. So it's a convoluted process, but to expedite that would be to have more teams being competitive, having the bottom, half of the league really trying to chase down those extra wins, because you have teams that still or in the offseason they're saying, hey, we're not in a competitive window, so we're not going to sign any players. Well, that's just taking away a potential landing place for for somebody within the market. So you kind of get this top down and trickle down and trickle up economics work all kind of working together here. And if you wanted the free agents to actually move faster, having policing the bottom would be the way to go.
Yep,
Max,
I like that.
Yeah, Max, I didn't know Missouri was such a smart school. I didn't realize that they produced such smart people. I mean, with all this, economics up and down.
The Florida Gators, I got some econ background, so I know what I'm talking about.
SEC. What do you say about SEC, AJ?
It's just weird.
It just means more. It just means
It
more.
just
Right,
means
Max?
more.
Tell
Yeah.
us.
It just means more. Yeah. It's weird for me to say that because I'm always going to think of myself as a Big 12 guy, but definitely, I appreciate what the SEC is doing now.
It just means more, even education-wise. It just
Weird,
means
right?
more. Max, it was great having you on as always. We appreciate it. The fans do a ton to hear from you. The show's on TV now too, which is important. So thanks for joining us as always, and good luck through the stretcher. Enjoy some of the All-Star break too.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you. Max Scherzer with us on FT. We'll swing right back.
What's the limit? And this isn't just meant for profile, but you as a player. Like for me, I was like, you hit a walk-off, you can do whatever the hell you want because I'm not watching anyways. I'm going back to the dugout and I'm going back and getting out of my sweaty gear and clothing. So what is there a limit that you think that players should have, or is it a case-to-case basis? Because I just thought, I was like, yeah, you hit a walk-off, do whatever you want.
Yeah. I think it's, like you said, it's case-to-case basis. It's do whatever you want. You won the game. You did something really cool that people dream of doing, and it's a special moment. I think for me personally, you keep it within your team, make it about your boys, and make it about your family. When you bring it to the other side of the field, there's just a little bit different feeling for a celebration like that.
I was going to echo that same statement. AJ, I'm with you. You can do whatever you want if it's with your team. If you guys have a fun celebration, whether it's the old Adam Jones pie in the face or the Gatorade celebrations, when you start kind of crossing that line and looking into the other dugout, and I think that's a little bit of where it gets a little kind of like a gray area, to be honest. So I think if it stays on your side of the field and with your guys, there is really no limit that you can do. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and like I said, absolutely. And we didn't want to hit him. We didn't want to hurt him. Guys were over it, 10 minutes after the game. But we talked as a group and just said, that's something that we don't want to put up with as a team. And it's part of this scrappy attitude that we have. And we have each other's backs. We're here for each other.
Parts about baseball that I grew up to love about the game and the way it handles itself and players handle the other players and intricacies of the game. So I don't think we should get too far where it's like, oh no, you can't do any of it now, where it's like there's still got to be some of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're all adults, man. We know what's right.
Yeah.
We know what's wrong. And when guys take it too far, I think that even in your own dugout, So when when something like that arises, I think that as adults, we can handle that the right way. And if you got to police something, you got to police something.
Hey, before we hit better than box scores, we want to remind everyone that we are heading to Arlington, Texas, and that includes Derby Day and All-Star Game Day shows. We will be at the Players House at Troy's at Texas Live. 1 to 3 Eastern is the show on Monday. We'll do a special kind of pregame show on Tuesday, so it'll bump up. No 1 to 3. It's 4:30 to 6:30 on Tuesday. That's All-Star Game Day. And if you're watching on TV right now or on the Bally app, all of that is going to be available for you there as well. In addition, we are going crazy with prospects and draft talk. We actually have a show right after this, Baseball America Hot Sheet Roundtable, that will include some writers from other publications debating their top lists. But also on Friday, we do the Hot Sheet Prospect Pad show with some of the top prospects in the sport. Kratz will be there with me for that. Kratz, AJ, myself, and JJ Cooper on Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern, for our Draft Spectacular Takeover live from Arlington. We're excited about that. We'll be on during day one coverage of the draft. Woo! Let's go. All right, better than box scores. So I actually just wanted to shout this out before we get to Kratz's Phillies. I watched that whole Rangers game yesterday with Scherzer on the mound. I mean, his strikeout rate had been down a little bit. He was starting to pick up the pace on that front, and the slider looked good. They adjusted to it a little bit, then mixed in the changeup. I mean, he had a nice outing. He went deep into it. I know it doesn't look as good on paper. I think he gave up 4 runs, but it was basically just one dude, Logan Hop. He had a couple homers. He had, I think it was a single or a double. But besides that, I mean, there's a lot to like if you're a Rangers fan. Just saying that seriously, because like Max said, he feels good physically. And if you remember, that's been a problem for him, for the last, year and change. I mean, last year he was going through it for a while. Off and on.
Grinding through it. I mean, still had success, but grinding through it.
Right.
And you get him healthy. The fact that he said he felt healthy, to me, that's key. That is spot on.
Yeah, because he'll be pretty straightforward, and he hasn't always been as direct. Like, I felt good. So, good news for Rangers fans. Good news for Phillies fans. Your team absolutely torched the Dodgers. Bobby Miller had the worst start of his career. It was a bad day for Dodger fans. Tyler Glasnow hits the shelf. I'm not super concerned it's a back issue. I think he's had back issues in the past. Wouldn't be shocked if they're just kind of giving him also a little extra precautionary sit down during the All-Star break.
Oh, so there's an extra 4 days that they could tack on to, I'm saying,
to the time off.
Back, and you get to some of these starters, like your Sale's trying to get as many starts in as he can. He's pitched yesterday, to pitch Sunday, to then most likely pitch again Friday.
Sure, also avoiding the All-Star game, but yes.
Okay.
A little bit of both.
Fine. But you sit there and you go, how are they going to mitigate Tyler Glasnow's innings? Because we've talked about that since they signed him as part of their $1.3 billion in signings this offseason. This is a way. You get a few extra days without him actually missing starts, and you're able to bring him up pitcher.
And, AJ, Dodger fans don't care. I promise you that. Dodger fans do not care if they win 112 games or 92 games. As long as they're in the playoffs, preferably as a division winner, but in the playoffs, they would like to see more progress from their postseason teams. So I do feel like more than any other team in baseball, they are very much gearing their pitching staff towards October.
100%. And as far as Glasnow goes, yeah. I mean, hopefully all it is them saying, all right, he can miss one start, 4 days for the All-Star break. We can bring him back after that 5 days. He's ready to go. Because, again, he's getting close to his career high in innings. We're only in the first half, and he's been a stud for him. Bobby Miller, to me, is a little more concerning. You think he'd be better than what he is. I mean, he's still throwing 95 to 97. His breaking ball, his changeups are all there. But every time he made a mistake, man, the Phillies just did not miss it. So, That's the more concerning part to me. Who are the Dodgers going to go get? They got to go get a starting pitcher at some point. They got to go out, find a guy that can give them innings, give them length, because they're just too beat up right now on the starting staff to really, for me, to make damage in the postseason. Yeah, they can hit. When we get in the postseason, it's about pitching. It's not about hitting.
Yeah, and they didn't hit last year, so they got to figure that out. But they have to be healthy. They need their guys healthy. There's no guarantee that resting him during this time or not hitting an innings limit is going to make him healthy. But the Bobby Miller thing, I just saw too many missed locations. And until he threw a changeup to Schwarber 3-0, it was like he needed to throw one middle, and Schwarber almost blew out his oblique taking it. There was changeups that were other batter's box over a right-handed hitter's head to lefties, and he was pull yanking pitches, and then he hung that one to Turner, and it was just a lot of missed locations that I didn't feel like you saw last year.
Yep. Yeah, not looking the same at the moment. And Schwarber's back, Harper's back. And we talked about that with Scott Lauber on our show yesterday. If you want more Phillies insight, there's a podcast posted about that, and also for the Phillies, we spoke on the show yesterday, if you want to check that out.
Harper rehabbed against the Dodgers yesterday. Instead of rehabbing against the Rochester Red Wings down in Lehigh, he rehabbed against the Dodgers. He came out of the game. Obviously, it was 10-1, but he came out of the game and they moved Bohm to first. And so it's like one of those things where you go, hey, I always look at that and I'm like, you guys are so much better than I ever was. I'd go down to AAA and not get any hits. He rehabs and goes 0 for 4 in the big leagues.
The real people that miss out on this one are the minor leaguers that don't get the free dinners. I feel bad for that.
AirPods, Jordans.
Yeah. When Bryce comes through.
All requisite.
You should get it all, okay? Coming right back, we're going to have a special segment coming soon here with Jeff Berry, who just stepped down as an agent, just retired, and has represented some big-time players. We'll have some good debates going on with him soon. All right, we're staying on for a couple minutes here. Let's talk about the Blue Jays-Giants game. This was a good game. Kikuchi was on fire. This is where it's all come together, and it can take time to evolve as a pitcher. This is a guy who has struggled in the past. Last year really picked up the pace. It was a career year. I think he was close to 200 innings. The ERA was sub-4. The walks were down, and you're seeing that continue. And I'm not going to get into the Blue Jays too much in terms of wins and losses, AJ, because they're done. They're 9+ games out of a wild card spot. Obviously, Trevor Richards had a tough time in the 9th for them. They couldn't use Chad Green. He had been used too much over the weekend or whatever it was in some previous games. John Schneider said he wasn't available. But for Toronto, I actually think they might get something good for Kikuchi now.
I would say.
Yeah.
I would say.
AJ, do you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you. Sorry, there was someone banging on the door where I'm at. They couldn't figure out how to open the door. It's kind of funny. Listen, Kikuchi's definitely on the block. This if we didn't think the Blue Jays were done before, this cemented it. I mean, to go into the 9th with the lead, blow it, it's gut wrenching. Erik knows that when your closer blows it, when you blow a lead in the 9th, it counts like 3 or 4 losses sometimes. And for them, they're trying to go into the All-Star break with a solid ending to the first half, maybe get some momentum, and then to lose this game the way they did, it just rips them out. Yeah, they've got a lot of pieces though that people would like, whether whoever they decide to move. I mean, you can look at Gossman, you can look at Kikuchi, Jansen behind the plate. I mean, do they do a Vlad? Do they do a Bichette? Do they do a Bassett? Do they do a Romano if he's healthy? I mean, they got a lot of pieces that people would like to have, and for whatever reason it is, it just has not worked in Toronto.
I think they keep Vlad, and the best way to sign a young superstar, ex-MVP level player, show him who he's going to be playing with for the next 10 years. You want to sign him for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, show him who you're going to be playing with. And you can get a lot for starting pitching. He doesn't want to play with Kevin Gausman for 1 more year or Chris Bassett for 1 more year. He wants to play and win World Series for the next 10 years. So go get guys for those guys and put everybody out there. Get away from your ego as a front office for the Blue Jays and say, let's go.
Yeah, except that it's not happening this year, and capitalize. Jeff Berry coming up. We're back on FT, and we're joined right now by longtime former agent Jeff Berry, and also very successful, lucrative former agent Jeff Berry joining us on the show. I think I have this right, Jeff. Great to have you on. $2.6 billion or plus in deals. Uh-oh. There he is. Jeff, you there?
Big league agent, minor league Wi-Fi.
Jeff, do you have us, dude? Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, Jeff, I think you got to unmute. You muted yourself. Hold on. Stand by. Might have to work on things here a little bit.
Better background than many guests that we have. It's good. It's not his first Zoom call.
No. It looks like a proper office.
2.6
billion. Some former players include Buster Posey, actually current players. Obviously, he just stepped away from the agent game. He did the Josh Hader deal, did the Brian Reynolds extension. He's been JT Realmuto's longtime agent. If we go a little further back, some of your former teammates, Joe Blanton, Mark Burley, AJ. So I'm sure you came across him a time or two.
Yeah, more than once. Yeah. Yep. He definitely came across Jeff a few times, and Burley and I had lockers next to each other for 7 years, so we definitely ran into each other more than once. It's amazing how many times you see other other guys' agents around, and how much time you actually get to see them, especially when they're on the road, and you're like, oh, hey, and you see them in the hotel lobby, and you sit down and talk to them for a while. So you actually see other guys' agents a lot, and Jeff was always nice to me, so nothing but good things for him.
Yep. I want to know what it was like for that negotiation with Brian Reynolds and the Pirates. Like that's a historic negotiation. You're talking about one of the largest contracts, the largest contract that the Pirates have ever given out, that Bob Nutting has ever given out.
Yeah, that I imagine was not easy to accomplish.
That's what I mean. I think that, talk about a war room. That guy was in it. He was in the trenches.
Mm-hmm. I would say even with Realmuto and Hader, and we can ask him about this, but those are guys. Realmuto was very clearly, especially at the time, the top catcher in the sport, hitting free agency. Hader, one of the top relievers, definitely a top reliever available. And let's bring Jeff back in. We can talk to him about this. It's very interesting these days to navigate the market depending on the year. Oh, he looks much, much better, much more clear now. Jeff, we got you.
Well,
How you doing?
I had to move around the house. I heard Kratz's comments, big league agent, minor league Wi-Fi. The one thing I'll say, I did Ricciardi's show, and I didn't have any issue. So I don't know.
JP Ricciardi's show? He gives you better Wi-Fi?
Apparently. I don't know.
Well, that's because you did deals with him. We haven't done deals with you. But
you guys are connected at the hip.
Yeah, exactly. But before we start, Jeff, why don't you tell AJ maybe something nice or something not nice that you heard from Burley over your years, because those two were buddies.
Well, I can tell you one thing, and this isn't just because I'm on the show. I'm a huge fan of A.J. Pierzynski. He was I never knew A.J., but he brought it every day. He was, how you're in the day now where you have all these orchestrated entertainments, the dugout celebrations, all that sort of thing. AJ was about as authentic and as tough and played every day. And I represented a ton of White Sox at that time. At Burley, Danks, Peavy, who else? Carlos Quentin, Josh Fields, all those guys. And AJ was one of my favorite players ever to watch. And I played briefly 1 year in the minor leagues. I was a fifth-year senior sign, and I was a catcher. So I appreciated how much he brought it like every day. And my favorite thing, AJ, I don't know if you even noticed you would do it, but like a pitcher would throw a bad pitch, he would hop it in the dirt, and most catchers just toss the ball off to the side. You would like snarl and like spike it behind your back towards the ball boy.
Yeah, or if they didn't bounce it, I would throw it back to them harder than they would throw it to me. So guys would get a little angry at that sometimes. So I appreciate the kind words, Jeff, but I'm sorry, we have met each other a few times. So the fact that
Yeah.
you say you don't know me, I mean, that kind
No,
of hurts
you
my
never.
heart a little bit because we've actually
You
met a
weren't
lot of times.
overly like effusive whenever we met. The one time we met was he hated the Buster Posey rule.
Oh, we're going to
And-
get into that.
No, I know, but I want to. The thing of it is, one, you guys and Kratz too. Joe Blanton mentioned you to me, and Kratz was such a massive man. I remember asking him, "Who's Kratz?" He goes, "I don't know. I love throwing to him though. He's so big. It's like throwing to a sofa, and I think everything I throw is going to be a strike because he's so big relative to the plate." And he said he would also, it's towards the end of my Philly time, I wasn't throwing as hard. He said Kratz was the type of guy that if I didn't have anything, he would throw the ball back harder at me than I was throwing it into the catcher. So it was he was a big fan. And the one AJ story I will tell you guys, Mark Burley, one of my first clients. I practically owe my career to him, really, and just a wonderful dude. He was. AJ and Mark went on some tour of, I don't know, one of the barnstorming things in Japan, right? And Mark, legendarily, everybody, I think most people know this, he never shook off a sign his whole major league career, right? And the one time he did, he was playing in an exhibition game against Japan. AJ was catching. Mark shook off the sign, and Godzilla, Matsui, hit one through Mark's shoulder. And that was the one and only time he ever shook anybody off.
True. That is so true. And I still wore him out about that all the time. Or, yeah, because we're in Japan. He's like, "Oh, I'll never shake you. I'll put down whatever you want." And I put down something, and he's like, "Nope." And I think he threw a changeup. And yeah, he almost killed Mark. But Mark got vacation the rest of the way. So I don't think Mark was.
He loved it.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, man, I get 12 more days in Japan without having to pitch. This is amazing." Yeah. And then the only other time he shook me off, Jeff, was it would be like 3-0. And he'd shake me off just to say he did it. And I'm like, there was times with him with 3-0, I just wouldn't even give a sign. I'd just be like, "Just throw it, dude." And he'd be like, "Nope." And I'm like, "Just throw the ball, please. Thank you."
It didn't take long for him in between pitches. One of the most fearless guys I've ever seen take the mound.
Yes, no doubt.
So,
But the worst stuff you've ever seen.
See, I think that's where you're wrong. You know why? Because I remember years ago, Theo Epstein's like, "Hey, we've got this new thing called tunneling, and it's like top secret and all this stuff." I mean, and I told Theo, you mean like Mark Burley, where you throw 4 pitches from the exact same spot and no one knows which it is? That's what was so effective about him. There's a million guys that throw hard. There aren't a million guys that can throw 4 pitches in any count and all look the same coming out of his hand. So that's where I think the stuff part of it was so, I don't know, where he was dominant. I mean, he won 214 games.
Well, his stuff wasn't great, but his tunneling was great. Okay, and his balls, his courage was above average. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jeff, I want to actually start with something that you brought up to me when we spoke before the show, which was an interview that we did with Rhys Hoskins that you were watching. Yep. It was probably a couple months back, and it sparked some ideas. So why don't you send them to Kratz and A.J.
I
you can
think
see what
you
they
guys,
say.
I had to move all my paperwork, so forgive me when I had to get to the other spot. But yeah, it was an April 9th episode. You guys have Rhys Hoskins on. And I'm listening to the show, and he's going on and on. He's with the Brewers, the free agent market, this or that. And Hoskins, during the interview, said, "I was surprised to see Corbin go. But in order to have success here in a smaller market, these are the type of moves that have to happen." And I listened to that, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Corbin Burnes was making $15 million on a 1-year deal. Every team in baseball can afford it, but this goes to what I want to talk about here is these efficiency mindsets over a growth and winning mindset. And it's perpetuated by the media. You guys included when you were kind of an echo chamber. Rhys Hoskins, I don't think believes that, but we've been taught this and it's been regurgitated so many times that people actually think it's true. Ken Rosenthal, the Hall of Famer that is, part of your foul territory team, wrote an article why the Brewers had to trade Corbin Burnes. And I'm looking at this article, and you guys realize, like, all right, we have to trade Corbin Burnes. Ken Rosenthal tells you the Brewers had to. And the reality of it was they signed Jackson Churio to $82 million guaranteed when he'd never played a day in the big leagues. They signed Reese, who had missed a year and a half, 2 years, 34. But those are like efficiency signings. Jackson Churio, it's the front office jargon of, surplus value and, the opportunity for a front office to intellectually flex. And, as it was going on in Ken's article, it says, let me relate a conversation I had with an NL Central executive. The executive conceded that if the Brewers kept Burnes, they again would be a force in the National League Central in 24. But he said he actually hoped they held on to him, believing it would compromise them greatly long term. And I'm like, what? How is this? That might have been one of the dumbest things I've ever read in my entire life. And the reason I say that is Corbin Burnes is one of the best 1, 2, or 3 pitchers in the world, right? They don't walk through the door very often. And they say they have to trade him. So whoever they trade him for is the key to the Brewers' long-term success. I just don't buy that. And more so, the Brewers, the Wisconsin taxpayers just gave the over $500 million, $500 million for stadium renovations. Someone can't figure out that no, Joey Ortiz and DL Hall are not going to replace Corbin Burnes. So, and if you win the World Series, what does that do for the franchise? And I ask you guys the question is, do the Brewers have a better chance of winning the World Series with Corbin Burnes or without him?
I mean, you always think with them, but how do we as a media outlet like you called us bring the honesty and the what should happen? Because I know you're looking at it from a financial money standpoint. How do we change the narrative in the sense that I'm all about winning? I could care less about how much money or no money owners pay. But how do we bring it honestly that an owner who has the least amount of assets of any of the ownerships, because it seems like it's just easy fodder to say, okay, well, Guggenheim has $327 million and $1 billion in assets. Well, Antanasio doesn't have as much. How do we change that narrative together as a group so that baseball can be more competitive, which Max Scherzer was just talking about?
Yeah, I think you have the attitude of a growth mindset over an efficiency mindset. This whole front office idea of efficiency, and I've talked about this before with Moneyball, or that, front offices are stars. Front offices aren't stars any more than agents are. We're all schleps that serve at the greatness of A.J. Pierzynski, guys that can play in the big leagues for 20 years. The Erik Kratzes, the players that are the true show. It's not the intellect of front offices that is the reason you win. I've heard AJ bemoan the White Sox and player development. And, one of the questions I'd had for AJ, who developed you, AJ?
Twins, Minnesota Twins. That's who did, not the White Sox.
Right. But the White Sox, did they develop Burley?
They did, but that was 30 years ago.
No, all right. Did they? All right. So here's another one. That's what I'll give you something 2 months ago. Did they develop Garrett Crochet?
Not really. I mean, he was in minor leagues for about a month, and then he was there. So Tennessee really developed him.
But Tennessee didn't develop him. AJ, he barely pitched at Tennessee. I represented
he also
him
hasn't
in the
pitched.
draft.
He also hasn't pitched in 4 years. So it's kind of like, yeah. I mean, no, I get what you're saying. Nice thumbs up too. I get what you're saying as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, yeah. But again, when I say that they don't develop guys, here's my point. Garrett Crochet was what pick? What number pick was he?
11.
Is he not supposed to be a good player?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more if you pick the right guys.
Okay. Now, where's the guy that was picked in the 12th round that they've developed? Give me that one, Jeff.
I don't know enough. I don't watch the White Sox now like I used to when you were there. But the point of it is,
there isn't that guy.
But you're missing the point. I think the key is the draft, and development is one thing we see a lot of. And again, it's so front offices and regimes can show their value. The the development, I'm all for player development, promoting guys, this or that. But I look back and, you always, the Rays are constantly they're the bellwether for efficiency, how you want to run an organization. And they've never won a World Series. They play in an empty stadium. And I don't know whose jersey you would wear if you go to a Rays game. The Giants won 3 World Series in 5 years. Not one person out of their entire organization in a sold out ballpark for a decade, not one person was ever hired by another organization out of that. If you get coffee with the Rays, you're a GM somewhere. So to me, it's you have to get the great players. Do you coach them up along the way? Absolutely. Do you? But the key is getting the right guys in your organization, to begin with, because there is no secret sauce that made A.J. Pierzynski a great player for 20 years. A lot of that was great coaching that you had along the way, things you let go in one ear, out the other. But a lot of that was your doing, not the greatness or the intellect of a front office.
Yeah, but you have to put people in positions, right? You have to give people the resources. So to say that, I kind of disagree.
Tell
with
me
that
what resources
you have to have the right
about?
coaches with the right people. So when I was with the Twins, we had great coaches. We had John Russell, right, who played in the big leagues for a long time. He managed me for like 3 or 4 years. He taught me a lot about catching, how to handle pitchers, right? So then I had, pitching coaches, hitting coaches that actually played. I know that's, taboo these days.
You can't. Yeah, that is taboo.
That guys actually played and have been through that and stood in the batter's box. So they helped, right? So when you're in the lower, and I think the lower levels are even more important than the higher levels.
I agree.
Because you have to put the fundamentals down to get to the move up. And the Twins, listen, they didn't rush anybody. You had to go. They weren't like, oh, you're half a year, you did 2 weeks great, you're going to the next level. I mean, they're like, oh, you did 2 weeks great. Let's see you fail for 2 weeks and then come back from it. Then we'll think about moving you. So it was complete. And they wanted to win in the minor leagues, and they wanted you to be able to do the fundamentals. If you couldn't do a hit and run, if you couldn't bunt, if you couldn't hit the cutout man, Tom Kelly, right. It was different. I get it. It was like, yeah, nope, you're never going to play here. So there was different things. It was a different mindset. Whereas now it's let's hurry up and get him there because he's cheap.
Well, and I think the cheapness aspect, and we can go into that, is that the development in the minor leagues, I think, that's an interesting topic as well. Baseball America talked about how bad the minor leagues are. That's like the equivalent of McDonald's telling you hamburgers are no good. When I saw that, I was like, wow, I haven't seen a minor league game in a minute, but that can't be a good sign. So I think it all goes back to me, AJ, for, the Phillies have a growth mindset. They're not, their interest is, they were panned for signing Schwarber and Castellanos, right? But those guys have been a big part. And the reality is, for me, the Brewers had a chance with Corbin Burnes to have one of the best pitchers in the world. You're only paying him at a vastly discounted rate of $15 million because he's not yet a free agent. You have much better chance to win the World Series with him. There's no argument that anyone could make to me that it's a good idea for the betterment of that franchise. If you win the World Series, that's what's great for the franchise. I was with Doug Melvin, I don't know, 2 months ago. I had dinner with him. I live in Florida. He lives in the Lakewood Ranch area as well. And, he was a GM for 20-something years. He said, hands down, the greatest move he ever made was trading for 2 months of CC Sabathia. He felt like that changed the entirety of the mindset, put the Brewers on a path to be like, no, we're going to compete here. And they gave up Michael Brantley for that. There's no front office now that would say, oh, no, that was a good move. And yet a borderline Hall of Fame GM told me it was the best move of his career.
Yeah, I love that. That makes sense. I mean, even, for the Cubs, that storyline will forever be remembered. And Chapman had his ups and downs, but they needed him. And at the time, they're like, oh, you're going to trade Glaber? Yeah, it's fine. We're going for a World Series. So let me kind of broaden this to – go ahead.
No, but the thing of it is, guys, all this math, my whole thing, when I left the agent business, it was because I wasn't able to make enough of a difference in what I thought. I watched Josh Hader and Real Mutos play out in arbitration. I watched them then have no one. AJ, I had JT Real Muto and Kratz, the best catcher in the world, and it's not even close. And it's January, and we have 0 offers. I mean, none. people should have been lined up down my block sending like chocolates and cookies to my house just for the chance to talk about JT Realmuto, and not a single person was. And to me, that's the proliferation of this efficiency mindset. It's how front offices justify, I don't know, their starring role when it's not about them. It's about getting the best players. And, that was something I couldn't be a part of anymore.
All right, Jeff, how do we fix it though? I mean, as an agent, I mean, you can't force teams to sign guys, right? And they're just
No,
and
but you know what you do? I do it the same way. And this is the thing, because I know you guys don't like the Posey rule, but you guys are difference makers. You and Kratz, and Scott Braun. Scott Braun it took a ton of courage. You leave your cushy job with MLB Network. You obviously still have time to work out, and you start this whole business, right? No, Scott does have time to work out. Look at him, boys. But the point of it is it took courage to make that move. You guys with the media are difference makers. And you see it in politics, you see it in business, you see it like A.J. Pierzynski and Erik Kratz. You guys could help rewrite the direction of baseball with a powerful media presence. I believe that fully. And the reason I say that is we go back to the Posey rule. I didn't write the Posey rule. The only thing I did was I took it away from Major League Baseball and put it in the union and everything else, and I put it in the public sphere. From there, it kind of took off, and people made their own judgments. I obviously had the interest of, I don't want to see guys carted off the field, the Buster being one of them. And I thought it was a senseless play that, had long outlived whatever. So agree or disagree, but it was the power of the media that made that change.
I don't know if we have to hit a break or not, because we're gonna have I want to have a deep conversation about this, because I think it's one of the worst rules we ever instilled, and you can say it had nothing to do with it. But
that's a good teaser.
Yeah,
let's do that.
I want to have a major argument here about this one, because this is one of my least favorite things that ever happened in Major League Baseball.
Okay, so let's do this. All right, 2-minute break. AJ will bring us back from break, and we'll go right to that topic coming up next with Jeff.
Hey, are you guys still on?
Yeah, I mean, it's like old school kind of look. The teal blue kind of got a Miami vibe going a little bit. I'm not super thrilled, if you want the truth. I mean, I'm still upset that they don't wear the jerseys during the games. That's another reason I'm upset. So, listen, you make an all-star team, I don't care what I wear, but at the end of the day, you think they come up with something a little better than that. So, I mean, they're in Texas, man. Come up, what in Texas could they do? Like, they have a bunch of other things that they could do there. I don't know. The color theme, I don't get it. That's all. It's a problem, but it's one where I don't want to make it a huge problem, because it's an all-star jersey. There's two hanging in my man.
Yeah, but are you buying them, Kratz? Are you buying those? Is that intriguing?
You'll wear my jersey.
I would wear Todd's jersey. If he gave me an all-star jersey, I would wear a Todd the Frazier jersey.
No, you're gonna wear my 1998 Little League World Series jersey.
I'll wear that too.
Right.
I'll wear that, belly showing and everything, belly button showing some navel. No, I'm with Todd that maybe it's because you make an all-star team. The last all-star team I made was in Little League, and you get an all-star hat. Like, I made different all-star teams in the minor leagues, and I got jerseys from some of them.
Yes.
And those jerseys are cool for me to hang up, but when you watch the game, I think the best is when you have each team's jersey. Like, even if like some dudes are wearing their gray road uniforms and other guys have like the solid top uniform, I don't care that they don't look the same. And I also don't care that they're trying to sell the jersey and trying to make more money. If you're an Aaron Judge fan, because all the team's favorite players are there. They're going to sell more Alec Boehm jerseys than they ever have, because Alec Boehm is making his first all-star team. So they're going to sell that. But to me, you could do something super cool, like have the Phillies uniform and have like and integrate stars into the front of the uniform, so it still looks like the Phillies uniform. If the American League is home, like you can integrate stars into the Yankees uniform. There's just some cool stuff they could do, and all have all-star hats on. But style, I don't know style.
All right, Jeff. I hope you got a nice cup of coffee or something in between here, so we can dig into this a little bit.
I got more than that, so let's roll.
Okay. Hopefully, you got your Teaza. Hopefully, you got your Teaza puck and your Teaza pouch in. Okay. Because listen, all right, this is one of the worst things. It's tea. It's tea. It's like
it's for baseball purposes, Jeff. Instead of all the crap dip that's gone on in our game for years, no tobacco, no nicotine, the whole deal. So we're big supporters of this company. They've taken off.
I am too. I wish I could. Yeah. I have my nicotine lozenges here, AJ. I'm going to try the tea.
Okay. This is the next step.
And buy the foul territory puck. See it?
Yeah. I'll send you a link.
So you guys are selling stuff too?
Oh, heck yeah. Of course. This company in particular. Yeah. So, all right. Anyway, go ahead, JJ.
All right. So, anyway, Jeff, I hope you got your teas in. All right. So, when this rule came out, I thought it was the dumbest rule of all time. Okay.
You told me that in person.
Yes, and one of the best things that I look forward to more than anything is plays at the plate. Now, listen, I got run over more than anybody probably did. I mean, but I'll say this: one of the first times when I kind of earned my stripes as a big leaguer. 2000, next to last game of the year, we're in Detroit. Fly ball to right field. Right fielder comes up, a winning run, walk off in bottom of the ninth, tie game. Play at the plate. Brad Ausmus blows me up. Right, I mean, blows me up. He's out. I got to go in the dugout, and we literally don't even. We stop the game. They put like stitches in my chin. I come back out. The next guy gets a hit. Of course, we lose the next hitter. Right, but I went into the locker room, and the guys are like, "Okay. We see you." Like that was kind of like my, all right, you fit in now moment, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, cool. And then over the years, I got run over plenty of times. I got hit. I never got hurt, right? Because I was taught how to do it properly. And so one of the things that I always said is if you do it properly, you can take hits from whoever you want to take, from the fastest guy, the slowest guy, the strongest guy, but you need to know how to do it properly. I don't think it was taught properly. The reason Buster got hurt, and I never wanted to see Buster get hurt, I think he's a great guy, except for he went to Florida State, is the fact that he was in a bad position, right? He was in a bad position. He got caught in a bad position. And what was his name? Scott Cousins, the guy who ran him over.
Scott Cousins,
Like that poor guy, man, he lost his career because of it, right?
Absolutely.
And he just did what we were taught to do back then. And I feel bad. And I feel bad for Buster that he got hurt. You never want to see guys get hurt. You want to see the best players play. But then for them to change a rule because of this, that's why I always called it the Buster Posey rule. Because if it would have happened to me, nobody would have been like, oh, it's fine, Pierzynski or whatever. But because it happened in San Francisco, and then you made such a big stink about it, then they took it away. And now we lost that element of the game. Like, I mean, listen, say what you want about what happened with me and Michael Barrett, but if this rule's in place, that whole fight thing never takes place, right? Because I don't run him over. I slide in. I'm safe. Everyone's like, yoo-hoo, way to go. But now that moment is forever. Ray Fosse and Pete Rose, right? That moment, right? There's a lot of these moments that are like, oh, damn, look at that. Did you see that? And it's like, oh, man, there's like action. And then we went and took away second base, the take out the guy at second base, right?
Yeah.
So you know what, Jeff?
Which was just a furtherance of the Posey rule.
Yes, I blame you.
Yep. Yeah,
So
and you know what? I'll fully take the blame. And I'll tell you one thing, too. AJ, with or without the rule, with or without the collision at home plate, you were a badass either way. I don't know if I know this isn't a bro show anymore, and you guys got your hats on backwards and stuff like that, but I don't know if I can say that. But you were already the toughest guy on the field because you're behind the plate. My whole thing and I don't think Buster was in a bad position. I did like a breakdown of it only happens. You're only like truly, truly vulnerable on the plate of the right side where you can't see anything, right? So Posey set up Cousins, and it wasn't a dirty play by Cousins. Cousins did what we were all taught to do. And I think I said to you guys, I played college baseball and then signed as a free agent. I remember going to the minor leagues, and I would catch on Sundays, hit like 150, and played 1 year in the Florida State League before scurrying off to law school. And I remember it was like a badge of honor to hunt catchers, right? Like, oh, you're not in college anymore. You're not in high school. You're not in, no, this is pro ball. If you have an opportunity to hunt the catcher, you hunt him. You think that's an accurate statement?
100%. 100%.
Right. And
I
I
was
thought
blown, like I said, I've been blown up many minor leagues up.
So have I. And I've blown guys up. And I don't know if anybody would ever attempt to blow up Kratz, but that's another story beside itself, is Posey couldn't see anything. There wasn't another, and yes, it became such a national story because it was Buster Posey, one of the best players of his generation, I think a first ballot Hall of Famer, all those sort of things. But there wasn't another sport in the world where I could see where a grown man can run unencumbered in a straight line for 90 feet and hit you full speed where you can see nothing. And to me, I thought it was unnecessary. It's not good for the organization for the 2 minutes or the thrill. And I loved when you and Barrett punched in the face and you had your WWE like act going on in the dugout where you like, that was awesome for baseball. But I don't think it was worth, if A.J. Pierzynski's career got ended early, that ain't a good thing either. And I don't think it's necessary.
Not necessary, or just not advantageous in the moment. I think, to me, I get 100 to 140 at-bats in a season.
Yep.
And I don't have 70 homers and 140 at-bats, or I would be getting 700 at-bats in a season.
Right.
So I don't have ways that I can affect the game. The next year, right before Buster got his 8 years, $160 million, he was doing the swipe tag. He was doing that. He had made his choice to not block home plate.
Because he was a dude.
That's like somebody, exactly, because he's got to be out there for his 700 at-bats. I got this rule taken away, an advantage that I had over Buster Posey, over Yadier Molina, and I got hit by Prince Fielder. I didn't fall down. He did. I got hit by Chipper Jones. I got hit by Tyler Moore. I got hit by guys because I was willing to be in the way for my team, willing to put my career on the line for that win. And that win people may not remember it. Maybe Pirates fans remember Prince Fielder trying to run me over. Phillies fans remember Chipper Jones running me over. And it was big moments in the game because I'm playing catcher and I'm choosing to be in that line. Buster Posey is going to be a Hall of Famer because of what he did behind the dish, but more because of what he did at the plate. So he makes a choice, and I felt like this rule crushed a lot of my value as a player, and that's why I voted against it when I was on the panel.
Yep.
And as everything else in Major League Baseball didn't listen, and I couldn't agree more with what AJ said. I had Ernie Witt and Sal Fasano teach me how to block home plate. And I was very fortunate. The times I got run over, only one time I got a sprained ankle. Who gets a sprained ankle when somebody rolls you over the plate? Not a broken ankle. So it was just a freak thing. But I was very fortunate that I stayed safe and healthy through that. But to me, this rule is exactly what I think in a more of a macro level, what goes on in Major League Baseball. Let's save the superstars and diminish the value of the underlings, which I was always an underling. I'll never deny.
Well, and the thing of it is, and this, I have more respect for you. You're a 29th round pick out of Mennonite College. I'd never even heard of the college.
It was a university. We had degrees and everything and uniforms.
No, but the thing of it is, like, see, AJ grew up playing travel ball and in Florida, knew how to wear all his gear and stuff like that. You were probably hitting with work gloves in some mountain Virginia town. And, like, because you know how Florida kids are, Kratz. You know that.
Yep.
When you see, like,
that,
even
soft.
if they're not any good, they act like they're good. They can dress like they're good. It's where they're from.
Yep.
It's like Canadian hockey players.
Look good, feel good, play good, Jeff. You should try it.
Believe me, I was not good enough to do that. But the point of it is and this is like, I have more respect for both you guys than you could ever possibly imagine, because I know what you both have accomplished in different ways. Kratz, you made your big league debut at 30 years old, coming from nowhere. Frankly, today, I know I wouldn't have ever had a chance to even play a little bit. You probably wouldn't be drafted today. And which is, again, the efficiency over the growth mindset. Baseball would be worse off if you hadn't been involved in it the last 20 years. And so I look at, when you talk about this rule, and the fact of the matter is you talk about the underlings. Stars are what move the game, and I firmly believe that. And it's I don't like that you felt that hurt the value of your career. But the point I was trying to make with the Posey rule, I believe in it wholeheartedly. I'll take it to my grave. I haven't seen anybody carted off the field yet. I sent Scott Braun the Girolamo collision, the kid from University of Florida. To me, it was an unnecessary part of the game. I wanted to protect catchers, but I will tell you this, as almost every single catcher, AJ was one of the first people to even get after me on this. I think I was seeing the White Sox or whatever. AJ went out of his way to tell me how stupid that was and how stupid I was. And I respected it.
Feelings haven't changed. Well, the stupid part, maybe. The stupid rule. The stupid you is just me being angry.
Yeah, right. And I get it. But the thing of it is, you're not unique to this. JT Realmuto, he was like a young buck stud, like 19-year-old at the time. Brian Schneider, another guy you guys probably love. He's in your fraternity of longtime major league catchers, was a client. Mm-hmm. He hated it. He aired me out on it. And my point on any of this, whether you agree or disagree, I'm always going to take it as one of my proudest accomplishments, at least putting it out in the public sphere. But the reason I wanted to have this conversation was understand the power of the media. That wasn't horse traded in the back rooms of, collective bargaining. It was put out in the media, and then that had the impact to put the conversation on a public scale. And I think that's what you guys have the power to do. And that's when I heard, the Rhys Hoskins interview. I'm like, that's just not true. The organization's team, why the Brewers had to trade Corbin Burnes. If anything, Brewers fans should storm the castle and say, look, we had a chance to win the World Series this year, and you guys dealt it away for Joey Ortiz and DL Hall. Why? And I will tell you this, no one's math is that good to know what's going to happen 5 years from now. We can talk about process. We can talk, we've done our work, all this or that. It's just not true. It is, and my whole thing in the media, I want to be the boy at the parade yelling, look, the emperor has no clothes on this.
Hey, Jeff, we got time for one more topic, okay? And it's super fresh. I wanted to ask you about it anyway, but it came out, I think, while we were on. Christy Ackert, who does a great job covering, I think, mostly the Rays with the Tampa Bay Times, said they were reportedly, the Rays, willing to talk to Aaron Judge about a deal of around 10 years and $300 million. Obviously, the Rays are playing the Yankees right now, and I haven't been able to read so many specifics on the story. Our fans are always on top of all of this, throwing it out there as well, and I looked it up. This is in the Tampa Bay Times, so I just wanted to get your thoughts on that whole process and where we're at on stars, right? You and I have spoken in the past about the Red Sox not bringing back Mookie Betts, and they're playing better this year, but nobody knows, who most of these players are. There's been a lot of turnover for them, but your thoughts on that Judge news, if you even buy it, because it's very convenient for the Rays to put it out there.
The thing of it is, then do it. To talk about it after, it's the same. Oh, well, when I used to play this or that, then do it. Make it real. The whole idea on the Royals, for example, this offseason, they spent $105 million, right? Around that. Acquired a bunch of free agents. No one is talking foul territory. Why aren't you guys lauding J.J. Picola for being the smartest man in baseball? All of their analysts did a ton of work on Seth Lugo and, the guys they brought in, and they knew how great he was going to be. Why isn't J.J. being lauded like the Red Sox are being lauded for their pitch selection? It's more a question for you guys.
Trust me, we did. We've had J.J. on. We did. We've said nothing but how happy we were for the Royals, right, Kratz?
No, but happy with the Royals, but they signed Lugo. It wasn't because he doesn't fit the mode. JJ actually played. JJ and I are about the same age. I think he played at James Madison, this or that. He came up through scouting, player development, all that. The Royals aren't lauded as this exceptionally intellectual front office. I was talking to a former GM, and it's kind of funny. I've done a bunch of podcasts with Olney, with JP, with different media, and again, just trying to be a disruptive voice of common sense in areas that I think the game can be better. And it was funny. I was talking to a former GM, and I said, "Well, what about what the Royals are doing?" And he goes, all they did was spend money." And I'm like, "That's not true. They spent the same amount of money. The Red Sox spent the same amount of money on Sedan Rafaela and Brayan Bello, who they had 11 club options on between the two of them. They spent the same amount on them as the Royals spent on free agents this offseason. So, the money's the money, but signing these guys to early extensions, that's a safe place for GMs. You can I don't know, you get a pat on the head for, all right, good job, way to build our surplus value. And it's like, I don't know, Tommy Pham was available for free and nobody was jumping on his door. Jack Flaherty was available for free. Those guys are begging for jobs. The Royals were aggressive early on in the offseason. They were the only team, and AJ and Kratz, I don't know, you guys kind of missed maybe that window of what the game has evolved into. That was the only meeting I had at the winter meetings. Otherwise, I was like watching No Country for Old Men, and what else? I watched it twice. That's what I did at the winter meetings. And I had one team, and it was the Royals, that said, we want to sign these guys. We're not waiting. And they go. And it's like, that's the only proactive. Instead, teams feel like they sit back and wait. And I heard you say it, AJ. No, teams they're just getting smarter. I think they're getting dumber by the day. And I think the Royals showed it this offseason.
Well,
All right,
Jeff,
hold on, Scott.
go ahead,
Before you
AJ.
go, no, I just have to say
go
this.
ahead.
I said they're getting smarter because they cave. The players eventually cave, right? That's how they're getting smarter. They think they're getting smarter I'm not saying they're smarter because they wait. I think they're dumber for waiting, but they're smarter because they say, "Oh, we can just wait, and a player will eventually take less," right? So that's how they got smarter, not how they're getting.
Okay,
I don't think they're smarter at all. I think they're dumber because they don't go get the players. I'm telling you
this: baseball, the game. I've said this publicly before. I think Rob Manfred should go in the Hall of Fame for one thing, and that's the pitch clock. He unilaterally implemented it. I know, Scott, we've had conversations about that. You don't necessarily agree, but baseball is a very watchable product. We have 190 dates of 4-hour blocks of live content. Baseball should be the most valuable sport, at least in this country and Japan, everywhere else. And I think we're on the precipice of something great. But what I believe needs to change is a growth mindset over an efficiency mindset. Front offices are lauded for their intellect, and all the keyboard warriors out there. Oh, the Tigers are in a new day. We signed Colton Keefe for $30 million. He's never played above AA. Big deal. No one's math is that good that you know. And my question to you, Kratz and AJ, if the three of us owned a team, do we want to pay our star player, if he becomes a superstar, do we want to pay him pennies on the dollar? I don't. I think when people talk about culture, I think that's horrible for culture. I brag about the San Francisco Giants and what they did. I did a $127 million contract for Matt Cain that didn't work out, and I hated that for the Giants. But, I think that contract, again, it's nickels in the sofa relative to what that organization did. And I think the worst contract the Giants ever did was paying Madison Bumgarner pennies on the dollar. He should have been a Giant for life. And that underbelly contract created such a rift. That's not good. There's no business in the world. If you have great employees, you want to treat your best employees well. And this efficiency of, Dayton Moore, prime example. Do you remember the Salvador Perez contract?
Yep.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Jeff, we got to jump,
it was like
but
7
yes,
years,
of course.
like $50 or something like that. It was egregious. Dayton Moore didn't have the stomach to watch a guy go out, saddle up, strap on, give his organization everything, and pay him pennies on the dollar. Even if that's the savvy business move. It's a garbage move. And to tear that up shows the character. That, to me, is culture. You guys have a limited amount of time. You guys are the difference makers, not front offices. Not, AJ, he threw back at me, that was 25, a century ago. And I don't know, was Don Cooper the best pitching coach ever? I don't know. Was, how they've developed? Yeah, AJ's shaking his head no, but they had 5 guys throw 200 innings when they won the World Series. And I guess my point is the stars are certainly not the agents. We're servants to the greatness of you guys. Front offices, servants to what goes on in the dugout. And we've lost that to somehow think, oh, no, our math is so good. We're going to outmath you and outsmart you. You know what I'll take? I'll take A.J. Pierzynski and all of his freaking animalistic characters and send him behind the plate, and I'll have a chance to win.
Yep. Jeff, we got to cut you because we got to jump, but this was great. We'll get you back on, all right? We enjoyed it.
It's already over?
It's way over. Yeah, we'll talk though. We'll bring you back. Appreciate it.
We're having you
Be right
back because I
FT
have more
fam.
things to yell at you about.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. What's up, FT fam? That was fun. Braun, Kratz, Pierzynski, we're real. We're still here. We're going over our little partnership with AG1, a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support. It's backed by multiple research studies, so you can trust what you're putting in your body. I am holding something that you can get a free 1-year supply of if you sign up at drinkag1.com/foul. That's the vitamin D3K2. We're right here.
It's almost done. I need to get the rest of my.
It is not even close to almost done. What are you talking about? It's literally right here.
No, the label. It's like, okay.
No.
It's going to be done.
Okay.
I forgot it on my last
This should last you a while, though. So you should be doing probably one droplet.
One
I
droplet.
got to look. Yeah, one droplet.
Yeah, there's lines on there.
Yeah.
Big fellow like
Tell
AJ.
your family to stop stealing your AG1.
Yes, they definitely were stealing it, but these are not.
Ooh,
Oh,
wow.
How many you got left there, AJ?
I need
This
more.
way-
I got 3 left. I'm going to need more because I'm on the road again next week. So I'm going to need somebody to send me some more.
I'll bring you some. I'll bring my buddy AJ.
Oh, yeah, you got a nice.
He bought me a hat, so I'll bring him some ale.
You got a nice stash.
I think I have 7
Very
left
nice.
in the house, so I need more. So Scott, get on it.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Well, I'll let everyone know, unlike other products, which only test their ingredients in isolation, AG1 tests their formula as a whole. So we recommend AG1 for whole body health, and we continue our partnership with them. You can start your journey with AG1 by getting a 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 for free, plus 5 free AG1 travel packs when you make your first purchase at drinkag1.com/foul. They'll throw that in there for you. Again, it's drinkag1.com/foul. We're swinging right back on FT, and Ken Rosenthal is joining us soon.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. That's a segment sometimes that is part of the FT leadoff newsletter. So
Scotty's getting all choked up about the newsletter. It's his baby, but it comes to you all the time, and you get it emailed to you. So click on the QR code that's on the screen right now, and you can subscribe to the FT leadoff newsletter, but also hit FT subscribe here on YouTube too. If you're watching on Bally's right now, go to YouTube, hit subscribe. It's free. We love all our FT family.
I'm losing it. I'm getting emotional. Can you run the clip, actually? Would be helpful right now from Javi Baez at the plate. I'm losing it.
Javier Baez. He got hit. I tell you what, Salen's just all over the place. Baez chirping. Look, Javi, you're hitting way under 200. Nobody's hitting you on purpose. It wasn't even a fastball. It's a breaking ball. Well, he hung his last one. That one gets away from him. There's no way he's trying to hit him. You can see Hedgie tell it's a slider. It's a slider.
Wow. Yeah, that's the old. That reminds me of the was it Tommy Lasorda? When they asked him if he threw at somebody, he goes, I used to send limos to pick up that guy because I was left-handed and he was left-handed. I used to get that guy out, Kurt Pavakwa, maybe. I don't know who he said it about, but that's one of the great quotes Tommy Lasorda ever had. So, yeah, I agree with the Indians. Listen, they want to get Javi Baez out because if he throws that slider 4 feet outside, we've all seen the memes, he'll probably swing at it. So, yeah, no way they're throwing at him on purpose. No way they're trying to do that in that situation. I love the hedgehog behind home plate. He's like, dude, it's a slider. I used to tell guys all the time we'd hit him by accident. I'd be like, you think we want to hit you, dude? You're an out, bro. We want to get you out. We don't need to hit you to put you on base.
As an out, I know about this. I know about being an out. And he's hitting under 200 or just over 200. I'm not sure what Javi's at. You still don't want to get hit. And so I'm not sure why he thought that was on purpose. It was a slider right in his left butt cheek. But, hey, you know what? In the moment, it kind of seemed like he cooled down after, like, everybody was like, You even see Mike Malinsky, the umpire, kind of be like, no, I don't think that was on purpose when he was talking to Hinch and Hedgie was no, Javi, it's a slider. Don't kill him. Because he looked like he was going out there.
Listen, as someone that was thrown out a lot on purpose, you know when it's on purpose.
Yeah, that wasn't
it. That's what was weird. That was a weird reaction.
We're swinging right back. We still have blocks to do. We still have Kenny Ballgame Rosenthal to talk to.
He's still not coming on.
Oh, Ken's not.
Scotty. I need to give Scotty the Heimlich. He's choking over here.
This is not a good time to bring it right back to me, but
that's okay.
Mm-hmm. You guys got something on Tristan Casas for us?
The interview? Did we see the interview from Tristan Casas interviewing?
We have it.
Oh, we have it? Good.
I think. Yes. All right, let's show it.
Immaculately executed 5-pitch walk to start the big 8-run second. You had the exclamation point to hit the home run and cap off that inning. What was your favorite part of that inning? Was it to get the boys started or was it to put the dagger in the game?
I think just seeing the fans go crazy out there. You know, this ballpark, this stadium is the best in the world, and these are the best fans in the world. And just seeing them go crazy it just shows the passion the city has, and, you know, we want to do some special things for them.
Right. This is fun. He's
How
having
we not
fun.
had him on.
I don't understand it. He is, for as eccentric of things that he does with his shirt off, getting his vitamin D, all that stuff while he's, a rookie. He's a good player. And this is fun. Like, the Red Sox are having fun. They allowed him to take the microphone and be who he was, be who he is, not be who he was, be who he is. Like, we don't have to just go into a cocoon. Oh, I'm on the IL. I can't talk. Or, oh, I only have a year and a half. Oh, you need more dirt in your cleats. Just be who you are. This is a prime example of a dude being who he is. I love it. I think it endears not just Lucy Burge, but it endears a lot of Red Sox fans.
You think Sox fans are liking that?
I think they absolutely are. Sox fans want authentic and real. I think some other teams want the, the poster child for their team. Red Sox fans have endeared themselves to plenty of real characters from their history. They've endeared themselves to, Jonathan Papelbon, not a status quo guy. To now, all these guys are winning guys, but it plays.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, obviously. We need more entertainment, more guys like that when they're out in the IL. And also it makes me look and think the dude just cannot wait to get back on the field. Losing my voice. Good timing. So BetMGM locks from yesterday. I picked the rain out, stay hot. AJ, you nailed it. I mean, on the whole parlay, but I was watching Cleveland, Detroit. I'm like, damn, it was a high scoring game.
Easy.
But actually, Maeda was pitching. It was going to be a lot, and he gave up 6 in like 2 innings. So it was a pretty no sweat. The only one that was making me sweaty was Hader tried to blow it for the Astros at the end there. I mean, he put a couple guys on it. I was like, come on, Josh.
He cleaned it up.
Just a closer. Just a closer doing closer things.
Yeah, Boston was smacking around Oakland. That was a high-scoring game, too. You got your Nerfies? Well, one Nerfie.
One Nerfie. Everything else got rained out.
Yes. All right, so let's fast forward. AJ, yeah, you're feeling good, so go ahead.
AJ Frazier.
AJ's up 4 figs. Go ahead. What do you got?
I got to catch Papelbon at some point. I go in with a weird one again today. I just look for things that I like, and then I just put them together. So I went Michael King over 6.5 strikeouts against the Seattle Mariners because everybody strikes out 10 against them every time. I went Astros money line. Framber's pitching against Honing, his name is, who's like his second start. He's out of the bullpen, and Miami's bullpen is destroyed because their starters are all hurt and can't pitch deep. And then I went Shota Imanaga to give up over 2.5 runs because he's pitching at Baltimore. Baltimore annihilates the high four-seam fastball, so I think they're going to hit some home runs off of him, and that gets me to plus 296. $100 gets you $296.
Oof.
That's a lot of cashish. I like that number. I am going with 1.5 total bases for my guy, William Contreras, facing Martin Perez. He is currently hitting 326 with like a 945 OPS against lefties this year, and he's already 3 for 5 on the season against Martin Perez, or in his career, not on the season, in his career. And so I'm going 1.5 total bases at minus 105.
I've been playing over-unders a little bit more again, somehow talking myself into those. Overs are a lot more fun, so I'll take the Texas Anaheim game, Rangers and Angels. I watched it yesterday. A lot of high leverage arms were used from those particular ball clubs. The over keeps cashing for both of those teams. It's cashed in 3 of the last 4 Lorenzen outings. It's cashed in the last 4 games for the Angels at the Big A. Rangers offense does look like it's starting to turn things around. So over 9, please, at minus 110. And if you're in the BetMGM app, you can play the Swing for the Fences game for a chance to win daily prizes. You can get things like a double, triple, homer, right? The results fly out. Don't get a fly out. I mean, it happens sometimes. Reward types include odds boost tokens and bonus bets. All rewards expire in 24 hours. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll be right back on FT. James Wood cracking the list at number 1 this time.
A ton, because we take it very seriously. You know, every spot we agonize over every spot in the rankings, but you agonize even more over who's number 1. And when we started, I would say our default was okay, Paul Skeens has graduated, Jackson Holliday moves to number 1, but then we stopped and talked through. And we talked it through for probably 20, 30 minutes after having had other discussions. And Jeff was one of the ones who kind of, I'll say, helped drive us to the James Wood answer, because at the end of the day, and this is nothing against Jackson Holliday, but when you say all of the things that make Jackson Holliday the number 1 prospect, they're kind of there for Wood as well. You know, when you talk about, well, Jackson Holliday's really young and he's in the upper level of the minors. Well, James Wood is only 1 year older and he's in the majors now. Jackson Holiday has a really good plate discipline. Well, James Wood does too. And James Wood has shown this year the ability to kind of make adjustments. He's kind of, every time he has a weakness, he figures out a way to improvement. And Jeff, the thing that jumps out about it, then when you get a little further is, and then if you say top end upside, well, we're projecting a lot on Jackson Holiday's power to develop. You're not really projecting James Wood power. You just know that James Wood has power at this moment, right?
Yeah, you don't have to project any power with James Wood. I mean, because just jumping to the major leagues, he's probably already well within the top 5 to 10 percentile just in terms of raw exit velocities and power. And I don't think that's going to decrease anytime as he gets into his prime years in his mid-20s. He's a super athlete. He's a better athlete than Jackson Holiday is. I think, the thing that's caught up is just his hitting against left-handed pitching has really increased this year. The contact overall was really increased. He always made really good swing decisions and sort of has, long enough levers that he can hit stuff on the outside. And something that I know that you've kind of harped on when we've talked about Wood is, for a guy with bigger levers, he doesn't struggle to handle pitches on the inside. He can turn on that stuff. He can power it out. He can use the entire field. It's a really good hit tool. And, he's a great runner, a plus runner easily. One of those guys plus, in terms of, sprint speed and that sort of thing, home to first times maybe are more like plus, but I think all the tools are there. There's no real questions about what James Wood can do.
Minutes, foulterritoryshop.com. Go get hats, shirts, wristbands. Actually, show up to Texas too with some of this. If you want to support the FT fam. Again, foulterritoryshop.com. We're going to be in Arlington for the next week or so. Arlington, Fort Worth, Dallas. We'll be jet setting around Texas in our helicopter.
What's that called? The Tri something?
3 cities, 1 state. I don't know.
It's not tri-state. Obviously, it's 1 state, but it's tri something. The trifecta.
AJ, do you know? You played there.
The Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington.
The 3 cities that are all separate cities.
It's DFW. It's Dallas and Fort Worth. And Arlington's bigger than people think. It's mainly, everyone thinks of Dallas and Fort Worth, and Arlington's like right in the middle. But Dallas is the big city, Fort Worth, and then Arlington is bigger than people think. So, it's cool. And if you haven't been, go to the book depository. It's a really cool thing. I know it's sad, but it's a really cool thing.
Absolutely. Tri-Cities Regional? Is that what it is?
It's like
Whatever.
A cool name.
Help us out if you know in the chat. Anyway, Paul Skeens met Bob Uecker, which is cool. Do you think that he asked someone there? Or, yes. Bob's obviously walking around. Do you think he said, hey, can I meet Bob Uecker?
No doubt.
Yeah, that's how it works. Because that situation from being with the Brewers.
Have him come down. Ueck's super accessible.
Yes, he is.
He's not just going to come out on the field anytime, but if somebody wants to meet him, somebody wants an autograph or something, I'm pretty sure Skeen's got an autograph and everything there. I think that's pretty cool, especially since most kids that are 21 to 24 years old have never seen Bob Uecker actually be Bob Uecker, and he is a legend.
Can we get Uecker to get some new shoes? He's had those Jordans for a while now. We need one of those brew crews, whether it's William Contreras or somebody, to get him some new Jordans, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll work on it.
He's had those for a while now, and I love you. Nothing's better than when you go in to talk to the manager in Milwaukee, and he sits in there and asks questions. You're like, Bob, no, this is our time, dude. And he just starts laughing. He's great.
He is great. He is nonstop entertainment. My last thing before we go to Slap, just a quick reaction from you guys, because we talked to Jeff Berry about it, but the report comes out, a lot of our fans asking about it, about the Rays throwing 10-300 out there for Judgy. He was never going to do that. I don't want to say never, because I think he's got a spot down there and all that, but I feel like this has happened 10 times already with certain teams. They're in on so-and-so. Freddie Freeman's name came up. I don't know. It's hard to buy until one of those actually happens. The Red Sox were in on everyone. They just didn't get them, right? The Marlins are often in on everyone. They just don't get them. Do you guys buy when those things are put out there, or do you feel like it's strategically put out there after the fact?
I think the Freddie Freeman to the Rays it was a 1-year deal, and they were going to offer him because remember it got late with Freddie. He didn't have anything, so Freddie was like, oh well, yeah. I mean, why not? If you're the Rays, why not? If you can get Freddie Freeman for 1 year, $40 million, why not try it? I
thought it was a long-term
I don't think so. Remember Nelson Cruz? They tried to get Nelson Cruz that 1 year, same way. I think there's been a few of them they've tried to do like this.
I know for a fact, and I will not say his name because he'd be pissed if I said his name.
Yeah.
Somebody that signed with a prominent team that was offered the exact same thing from the Rays. Exact same amount of money. Now, your argument will be, well, you got to offer more if you really want them. And the market, pays whatever. You do have to offer more if you're the Rays, if you're the Blue Jays, if you're teams that guys, for whatever reason, geographic or not winning, don't want it. But I know he got offered the exact same thing, and he went to a contending team, and the Rays ended up beating that contending team.
Wow. By the way, I found ESPN report. Tampa Bay offered 6,140 or 7,150, and they bragged about the Florida State tax, which is true.
It's real, but you can't like work that into the contract. Be like, I know you got 160 from those guys, but there's a 10% tax break.
That does matter, though. That's real.
But the Rays can't use that.
Yes, they can.
The Rays can't go there and say, hey, you'll.
Texas uses that.
Hell yeah, Texas used it.
Yeah, but if you want that player, you have to offer at least the same amount that the other teams are offering. And then
it is
let
the
the
same
player
amount
get
after
that
taxes.
discount.
It is the same amount after taxes. I don't understand.
This was good today. This was good.
If you want that player,
money's money.
They have to.
No. If California's taxing you whatever they are these days, 8,000%, and Texas isn't doing any, I'm factoring that in.
You can't. So you just offer them less?
A little.
The same amount, though.
Yeah. You got to do what the final number looks like. It's
so
like
then who's
deferrals.
getting the discount? The Rangers getting the discount?
Yeah, for being in that area. No? All right, we got to run. This was good today. And sorry, Ken Rosenthal's on tomorrow. Bye. Hey, FT fam. Bonus few minutes as usual on YouTube here. So guest list for tomorrow is, for real, Ken Rosenthal. What did I say it 2 or 3 times? I don't know why. At one point he was supposed to be on, and then I just kind of missed the memo, and I've been...
We talked about it yesterday.
Let's just say you've had a rough day, Scott. Scott, you've had a rough day because you don't pay attention to Slack.
I wouldn't
I
say
don't
that.
think I had a rough day.
He almost died.
Because of the little coughing fit?
Well, and there was some other things that were on the Slack where we're like, hey, we need to go, and then you talk for 3 minutes.
What's your famous phrase?
Scott does what he wants.
You do what you want, but, I mean, there's times where you can't.
I'll give you a little inside my brain. When the camera's on me, I'm looking here generally, so I don't look there. So if I got a lot of TV time today, so I couldn't spend time on.
You were on it.
Slack.
You couldn't
Sorry.
spend time on Slack.
Sorry, the camera loves Kratz. I happen to drive 8,000 miles to the middle of Pennsylvania today, so here I am.
He had a Todd Frazier fit. I mean, a coughing fit.
I did have a Todd coughing fit, yes. So anyway, in addition to Ken, Jeremy Affelt's getting into the Ring of Honor for the Giants. He's going to join us tomorrow. And Spencer Schwellenbach, who is the rookie for the Braves, tomorrow as well. Kratzats.
The 5-star National Elite going to be playing the power of the Maruchis from Florida coming up here next week in Fort Misery. Woo-wee! Woo-wee!
AJ, is for you.
Why?
You get it?
I mean, I know. Oh, I get it, but that U is awful.
It's UF, your favorite school.
I know what it is.
Yeah. But anyway, I like that one. I'll give that one a A-. I like the colors.
For travel ball, everybody's yellow and black and travel.
Yeah, seriously,
ball.
it's yellow. Be good original. And the PG logo. I mean, talk about kissing up.
What? I mean, it's on the hat. What am I going to do? Am I kissing up to the minor leagues every time I wear my minor league hats?
No, every day you're playing the
I'm talking about your team. I'm talking about your team. In general.
This? Oh, yeah. I mean, this is like
I like
team.
I like it. Hey, special Baseball America Hot Sheet Roundtable coming up right now. Please stick around for this one if you want to learn anything about your team and the draft. It is in like 2 minutes I'll give you the 2 names and then we'll get out of here. Well, Carlos Collazo from BA, Keith Law from The Athletic, and we have Shooter Hunt also joining us. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.